Hello, my name is Opal Singleton. I am the president and CEO of Million Kids. We're asking you to follow us on all of our social media. This is a Million Kids Insider Alert. If you're receiving it, you probably have signed up for it, but perhaps you're getting it for some other reason. Please share these insider alerts with everyone you know so that we can educate the public to keep our kids safe from predators. One more thing before we get to analyzing this. We have started a Join the Conversation with Million Kids. It's kind of an insider train the trainer kind of thing. Just go to Million Kids on Facebook, look for Million Kids supporters, join the Facebook group. I'll be analyzing cases on there, talking about new technologies, changing legislation, and we'll be posting daily. And it's a chance for you to join the conversation and share that with everyone you know. This is a case of Yue Vang. Now, he's already been convicted and sentenced. Happened about 6 weeks ago. I'm a little behind, but this is an important case, especially for school counselors and therapists and also parents, grandparents, and like that. He was 31 years old. He lived in Minnesota, and he pled guilty to online sextortion scheme that involved more than 1,100 victims that they have been able to identify. Now, they believe there are more victims that haven't come forward. He was sentenced to 43 years in prison, and the damage that he did to these young girls, 1,100 young girls, is just unspeakable. It will change their lives for the rest of their lives. They're still looking for additional victims. I'm going to give you some information in case a child or a minor that you know might have been a victim. Is still important to report in this case. So it all began when a victim reported. He lived in Minnesota. She lived in Ohio. She talked to her parents, smart girl, okay? They went to the police department, filed a report. They did a digital investigation. They figured out that this guy was probably in Minnesota. In some cases, when the girl had sent him sexually explicit videos, he threatened to tell their friends, their family, their church family. She was on an athletic association. And in some cases, he would also demand money, financial extortion. But in this case, a girl came forward. Imagine 1,100 victims, and this is the first time they became aware of it. Well, he created and used more than 75 different online accounts, and he was communicating with more than 1,000 different accounts. So that may be why some of the other victims might have come forward, but they wouldn't realize it because he's using different names, different accounts all over the place. He would use the images of different girls to encourage other minors to produce pornography. That is very, very common. And our young people really have to understand that when they're sending out one of those naked photos, that a pedophile could be using that photo to seduce and blackmail another young girl. He also pretended to be teenage boys so that he could contact the girls and coerce them into sending erotic photos and videos. Now, he was relentless in his demands. He also used some minor victims to contact other minor victims. In some cases, he actually sent the images to the victims' friends or family. His victims were 12 to 17 years old. When I read that, it makes my heart break. 12, 13 years old, you're just coming out of puberty. You're starting to get your identity about who you are and like that. And you start out your sexual identity in a case of blackmail and sextortion. He harassed some of those victims, and several of them testified that they considered suicide. He used multiple apps to communicate with his victims, mom and dad and grandma and grandpa. This is so important, and you too, you teenagers. Now, I use a lot of the common ones, Snapchat, Instagram, Kik is a common one, Skype, so he would actually live stream with these people. But there were a couple on there I didn't know, so I researched them for you since this is a training kind of thing. I had not heard of Hoop. It's a teen dating site. It's connected with Snapchat. And once you engage in that, then their profile image and bio go out to the public. They earn points for logging in. That's to keep the kids logging in and building up loyalty and engagement. There was a review on some of the research that I did since I didn't know Hoop too well. But teen dating sites can be very dangerous. It's exactly where pedophiles will play because they're looking for available and vulnerable. And if you're on a teen dating site, you are considered available and vulnerable. This mother said, "This is so dangerous. My daughter used this app and thought she was making friends with a girl. It was a man who coerced her into sending a photo of herself, then tried to blackmail her." To the kids saying this app is safe and fun, think again, this mom said. She thought she was making a new friend with a girl her age, and she learned the hard way. Now, I'd never heard of Yubo. Yubo is a French app, has 60 million followers on it. So I was kind of surprised. It's a group chat where you go on, play games, and it's designed to meet new people, create a sense of community. Now, I will say that I was somewhat pleased with Yubo because they're making an effort to look out for the safety of our kids. Now, anytime you're meeting strangers online, developing a sense of community, you're going to be in danger. But I give them credit because they developed algorithms to watch for things. First of all, they formed a partnership with NECMEC. That's the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That means that they're running bots and algorithms looking for images of young people that are erotic, that are young people under the age of 18. In 2020, Yubo implemented the algorithm, okay? And I was taking this quote from the UK where the independent report on child sexual abuse said that the value of human moderation is evident in their success. What they're doing is they have moderators who interrupt live streams to tell underage users to put their clothes on. Where have we come to? But I'm proud of them that they do that. So I felt a little better about this. But here's one of the things I really want to say, Mom and Dad. You know, these guys never use just one app. We have to train our kids. If they move you from one app to the other, that's the first sign that you're talking to a pedophile. Okay. If they're asking for photos, if they're doing all the question asking and you're doing all the answering, if they're telling you not to tell, all of those are big signs that you're in trouble. Also, this man used many different account names, as you can see and hear. And this is one of the reasons they've had trouble finding all the victims that are there. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this insider alert in case one of our young people out there was a victim of this guy. Now, he's already sentenced, but we need the FBI to know if another child or another victim's out there. So one more time, this is how you report. You can go to the Department of Justice, Sextortion Victim Information, and reference Yue Vang. So here's some important takeaways, which is why we do insider alerts. My first takeaway is this guy had 1,100 victims that we know of, okay? He had all these different identities using all these different apps. He must have been doing this full time. I don't know how a man like this has time to work. Now, it doesn't say if he's part of an online pornography ring. It doesn't say that. I couldn't find any evidence. But if day and night you are trying to manage and coerce and threaten 1,100 people all over the world, young kids, then what are you doing with those photos? And it makes me suspicious that he might have been sharing those with other people, which is a lifetime sentence for that victim. They'll never get it back. Also, where's his family? Where's his friends? Somebody must have known that this guy's behavior was abnormal, but nobody, as far as we can tell, reported that. This is a major point and why I did this broadcast. Perpetrators almost never use just one app. This is important for you, Mom and Dad, because you may only know Facebook or you may only know Instagram, but look at your kid's phone. And when your kid has an app, get them to share that with you and the password and their username, especially if they end up disappearing, which can happen if they're in a sextortion case, happens more than you know. But you need mom and dad to know every app that's on there, how it works, what their password is, and like that. So that's an important takeaway on this, because they'll have more than one app. I say that because when the child gets in trouble, mom and dad will check the one app they know how to manage, and they won't know how to check other apps. If you don't know how, just take it to the law enforcement. If you're seeing this kind of activity, let them check it. But I also think this is a great opportunity for the faith-based community to take your youth group and use them to teach your parents all the apps, how they work, how they download, and how you can protect one another. So important takeaway here is report. Finally, someone from Iowa or Ohio, I guess it was, reported. And think about this, 1,100 victims. Now, others may have reported, but he was using so many different apps and so many different names that maybe they didn't all get connected. But number one thing, if you see that this is happening to your child, do not think it's going to go away by itself, or it's just a one-off and you should not report it. Talk to your children and share this with anybody that's using a phone. Here's behavior to look for. If you think your child's being a victim of sextortion, the first thing is they'll get secretive. They hide that, they shut that laptop kind of thing down, or turn over the tablet, or start closing the door, or borrowing somebody's phone. They may change their school behavior where they're not going to school because they're threatening, this pedophile is threatening to share those photos with the schoolmates. They may start cutting. If you have a child that's cutting, go immediately and get some help. They may change their eating habits or their sleeping habits. Unable to sleep, they're terrified, okay? They may start running away. They may attempt suicide. We're seeing more and more of this. Get ahead of the curve, mom and dad. If you give a cell phone to your kid, sit down with them and say, I hope you never, ever, ever, ever once consider sending that naked photo on a video game, on your phone, on your laptop, whatever. I hope you never do, because I'm going to share with you where these things go. But if you do and you're in trouble, please trust me enough to come to me and let's work through it together. Too many kids are taking their own lives. They may need money fast. This guy was sextorting for money. They may need money fast, especially for guys, and they may be in an irrational or a fantasy relationship. Those are all signs to look for. If your child is a victim of sextortion, do not go on and alert that pedophile that you know what is happening and that you're going to the police. Just simply take it to the police and let them intervene on behalf of your child. Do not assume that by removing the device that your child will be safe. These guys use multiple personality names and multiple ways to access your children. Do not assume that your child is safe, and if they just stop talking to the pedophile, that will not happen. Do not delete the photos. Those are evidence. Do screenshot those photos. And do not share the photos with everybody else. You know, that's your child's dignity. Take your child and the photos and all the information that you have on your kid's phone and go to law enforcement. Now, if your child has not come to you, but you're suspicious that something's going on, do not start by wagging your finger and making accusatory allegations, okay? Simply sit quietly with your young person and say, I see you dealing with something really, really deep. Can we talk about this? You know, is it possible maybe it's a photo thing, you know, online or something? Not a lot of judgment on that, okay? See if they can talk to you. If they can't, then let them know, you know, if it's going on. It'll be the hardest thing we ever did. But you are not alone. I am here with you, and we will find a way to do it. Then go immediately to your local law enforcement. Take your young person and the phone or the iPad, all the things that you can, all the passwords. Go to the cybercrime unit. Get counseling, mom and dad. Get counseling for the young person that's been sextorted. get separate counseling for yourself or your spouse together, or even grandparents, if that should be happening. And then if there are younger kids in that family, get counseling for all of them. Do not take shortcuts on this, mom and dad, because oftentimes they will involve a younger child. Think about this. If your child is doing this online with live streaming, like in a video game chat room or live streaming on all these various apps, they can see the other children. So everybody get counseling. If you, again, one more time, anybody that you think might have been a victim of this individual, this is how you report it. If you want to report sex trafficking or sextortion or child abuse of some sort, you can do it, and you can do it anonymously at 1-888-3737-888. That's 1-888-3737-888. You can contact me at opal@millionkids.org. I want to thank each and every one of you that send us money and support our work while we do this. It takes everything we have to keep this thing going. You can do that by going to millionkids.org/donate, and they'll tell you how to do it. A couple of reminders. One is, I forgot to put it in here, but we do have our movie up about sextortion. And you can either find out about it at millionkids.org, or you can also find out about it at millionkids.org, or also at sextortionfilm.com. It's available for download right now on Amazon, on iTunes, on Apple TV, all of the above, Vimeo, like that. One last thing. We are forming the Million Kids Supporter Facebook group. It is a private group. You ask to join, we'll put you on. And it is a way for me, rather than doing all these long films from time to time, we will be posting cases and giving train the trainer alerts right there. So go to Million Kids Supporters and join up, and we will admit you in there. And that's a way that I can give you daily training so that you can stay current, and we can train more trainers and get the word out there. Thank you again for joining us, and I'll see you next time on Million Kids Insider Alert.